Are your boots too big? Well, you don't have to sell them or give them away. You just have to try one of these 5 hacks that I'm gonna show you right now. I guarantee they're gonna make your boots fit a lot better if they're too loose right now. So let's start with the first one, the obvious one. Let's get it out of the way. Here we go. Number 1, wear thicker socks. So I like the Camel City Mill heavyweight socks because they're made with merino wool. So even though they're thicker around my instep and the heel, they don't make my feet sweat. With thick socks, try to stay away from polyester or cotton as much as possible because those fabrics tend to trap moisture and they can make your feet feel swampy and nasty as you hit hour 3 or 4 wearing your boots. Now, I'm sure you've already tried wearing thicker socks, so let's get to the lesser known hacks next. But before we do, let's find out where your boots aren't fitting. Are they too big in the toe or are they a little too wide? A lot of guys actually have narrow feet, so while they size down until their toe hits the front of their boot, they still feel like their foot is moving from side to side when they walk. The best way to find out if your boots are too big because you have narrow feet is to use a Brannick device. You can go to any local shoe store and ask to use one of these, but since I feel awkward asking someone to measure my feet when I have no intention of even buying any shoes when I'm there, I figured I'll share with you how to get your measurement and use this tool so you can do this yourself at a shoe store. Okay, so I wanted to really quickly show you how the Brannick device works. It's very easy, very simple. It's gonna take a moment. So we all know you put your right heel in the right heel spot, so that's very easy and obvious. And the key is to make sure you are standing because that is gonna lengthen your foot out as much as possible. So my foot falls right about 10.5, maybe 11 on the Brannick. So the next thing I need to make sure I do is I get this thing right on the ball of my foot. And then the last thing to do is to take, this is the width measure. I wanna push that up against my foot so it's nice and snug. So now that I have my foot out of the measurement, I can actually take a look at it. While the length is pretty self-explanatory, the width is a little more difficult. So my foot is not a 3-2A. What you have to do is you have to find the length of your foot on this sliding scale. Mine's like a 10.5, so it's that little nubbin right there. And I go down, and that basically puts me straight at a D width. So if I was maybe say my foot was this wide, but I was a size 7, then I would be looking at that. I go, okay, I'm like a 2E, maybe a 3E width if my foot was a 7 length. But since my foot is a 10.5 length, then that again puts me like right there, say 11, 10, and that's right at D between C. So it's a little more of a narrow foot, or it's standard width. Write your Brannick measurement down somewhere. So text it to yourself, put it in your notes on your phone, anything like that, because boots, all brands, they make them in different shapes, different sizes, and each boot brand, while they might size different relative to the Brannick, they also know how their boots size relative to the Brannick. So if you know your Brannick sizing, they can say, oh, we're usually about a full size down or a half size down or whatever it is. Just knowing your Brannick device, that gives some sort of objective common ground to talk about when you're sizing your boots. So let's say you have to correct for the width of your boot. What else should you do to fill up the rest of the boot? Number 2, add an insole. Now you can either add an orthopedic insole to your boots, which is going to take up a lot of extra room, up to a full half size, or if you find that the insole you added, that orthopedic, crams your foot into the top of the boot, you can also just add a small foam or leather insole into your boots. Now, this takes up a bit of room to make things more snug, but it's not quite as drastic as a full orthopedic insert. So let's say you're wearing your full thick socks, you're wearing your insert, and your boots are still too big, well then try this. Number 3, add heel cushions. Now, we're altering the boot, so though heel cushions are easy to remove, it's not like you're making a permanent, irreversible decision here, but still, this is kind of getting to the last resort area. So heel cushions, they're these nifty little pads that you stick to the back of your boot, and they can help a lot if you get blisters on your heel often. They're also great if the front of your boot fits fine, but you're getting some heel slip consistently, even after breaking in your boots. So let's just say you're wearing thick socks, you've got an insole, you've added heel cushions, right? You're doing it all, but your boots are still too big. There are gonna be 2 tricks we can pull to fix it, but you're not gonna believe me. Number 4, get a jar of mustard, rub it on your boots, get your car, park that on your boots, and get your dog to bark at them. Then let them sit overnight. No, I'm just kidding. Number 4, get shoe fillers. Shoe fillers are little foam nubbies that will fit into the front of your boots. This trick only works if you have too much room in the front of your boot. If you're already at the end of the boot, this is not gonna help you at all. These things are, the shoe fillers, they're pretty self-explanatory, but I will say this. If you're wearing shoe fillers, it's gonna throw off where your arch lands on the boot. The arch of the boot is probably gonna be landing on the ball of your foot, which might not seem too bad at first, but if you're wearing your boots for more than an hour or doing any walking pretty much at all, it's gonna get uncomfortable in a hurry. At this point, if you're wearing thick socks, you have an insole added, you have heel pads, and you put in shoe fillers, your boots are probably a size and a half too big for your feet, and that is pretty far off. With that much of a difference, I highly recommend just getting a new pair of boots that fits better. I mean, that's That's the only way you're really gonna solve this problem. The only reason I could see wanting to wear boots this big is for nostalgic reasons, like if they were your grandpa's old boots or if they're one of a kind, something like that. So if that's the case, there's one last thing you can try, and it's not gonna be cheap either. Number 5, you can have them recrafted at a cobbler. Cobblers can't really shrink boots, but a good cobbler can recraft the boots completely. Now mind you, this is gonna cost more, most likely, than the boot did in the first place. So it's definitely not a quick, cheap trick at all. What a cobbler is gonna do, they would remove the entire insole, the whole outsole, just to get the leather upper of the boot. They're gonna relast the boot to a size that more accurately fits your foot. This is where knowing your Brannock size would be really important. And then they'll add a full new insole, new midsole, outsole, the whole thing that matches your boot, its new smaller last shape. This is probably gonna cost somewhere in the range of $200 to $250. So ultimately, the best and easiest thing you can do is to get a new pair of boots that fits well in the first place. Sometimes the shape of different brands leads to a little extra room, and in those cases, thick socks and an insole, that's gonna do the trick just fine to fill up your boot. If the 5 tricks I mentioned in this video don't work, well then, go ahead and try rubbing your boots down with mustard and parking your car on them. Who knows?